it's raining today. Doesn't look like it's gonna stop anyways. And what's going on today? I guess this was kind of an interesting headline at first I read. How about this one? Somebody was mowing his lawn and all of a sudden got hit by a drone. This one says, elderly man struck by a drone while mowing lawn. As it says here, a wayward drone struck an elderly man in the head while he was cutting grass. The victim, a 79-year-old Princeton man, said it happened on September 21st while he was on Melvin Court near Smithfield. The man said he was cutting a lawn when the drone struck him in the head, reportedly with enough force to knock him off the riding mower he was operating. The victim was checked out at the scene by EMS but declined transport to the hospital. Johnson County deputies responded and seized the drone as evidence. Several juveniles were seen in the area around the time of the incident. So by the sounds of it, if he was able to get back up and all that, it sounds like it's one of those accidents, like let's just say a ball hitting somebody. Although in general, it makes me think too, with that thought, if it was, let's just say, a ball or a frisbee or something like that that hit this person in the head there, wouldn't generate as much attention. I don't think it would. They didn't really say what kind of drone it was too. But either way, again, I guess a lot of people just feel if it's a drone that hurts somebody or something like that, then it's out of this world. It's crazy, correct? Now, in terms of drones that you should worry about, I guess, how about this one? This one says, BAE T-600 drone makes history by dropping a torpedo in a world first. Jointly developed by BAE Systems and Bylaw Aeronautics, a T-600 heavy lift drone has been used to carry and deploy an anti-submarine torpedo for the first time. Apparently, the naming scheme is based on things like in the Terminator movies and stuff like that. That's what it says anyways. It says, in what has been described as a world first, a BAE Systems Malloy Aeronautics T-600 heavy lifting uncrewed air system was used to launch an inner Stingray training torpedo during a recent North Atlantic Treaty Organization exercise conducted in waters off the coast of Portugal. Many of the world's militaries have watched the exercise with keen eyes. Saying here it's like a world first and all that, and it says, in just 2 years since we launched our collaboration with Malloy, we developed a heavy lift UAS and, working with the UK Royal Navy and Portuguese Navy, have taken part in the latest NATO REMPUS exercise, said Neil Appleton, head of Sustainable Electric Products, BAE Systems Air. The demonstration showcased the capability of our T-600 technology demonstrator carrying an inert Stingray torpedo in the front of the world's premier naval forces. Again, if you want to worry about any type of drones, I think it would be stuff like this, correct? Carrying things like torpedoes and all that. And this was an interesting read, as you know, here recently there's been protests, for example, with parents and teachers against the curriculums in school where they're teaching things like gender ideology to kids. And as a result, there's protests, counter-protests. But this one was kind of interesting where it seems like in a certain region, they're trying to make it so that if someone considers something as, quote, harassment, it could be against the law, but they made it so broad, which is kind of weird to think about. This one says, Regional Council unanimously approves anti-hate street harassment bylaw before large crowds of proponents and opponents. In the Waterloo region, it says, Regional councillors unanimously approved an amended bylaw that prohibits anti-hate street harassment, despite hearing from residents who say the bylaw would curtail their free speech. Nearly 20 delegations addressed councillors at a regional council meeting Wednesday night, speaking at a packed rotunda. Some spoke in favor of the bylaw, banning harassment on regional properties. Others vehemently opposed the anti-hate harassment bylaw, suggesting it would limit their freedom of expression. So what exactly did they change? It says here, after nearly 4 hours, councillors approved an amended bylaw removing a partial definition of harassment described as, quote, feeling tormented, troubled, worried, plagued, or badgered. They also added a provision to the bylaw which said nothing in this subsection shall prevent or limit a lawful protest. That doesn't make sense actually, because it's so, I guess, out there in terms of the definitions. Isn't everything harassment in that sense? Like this quote, I kind of agree in some ways, because it says here, quote, we don't need this amendment to protect people's feelings. Because just imagine, in general, if it was two sports teams, I guess, against each other. One guy on one side saying, oh, you suck and this and that. So technically, is that against the law then? Like when people say that? Or same thing with these protests, they usually get kind of hairy between like people. So if one guy says, this doesn't make sense, you are this and that, this guy calls him like an idiot and so forth, again, would that be, quote, against the law as well? I don't know what the point of changing the law there would be. There's already laws in place, I would assume, where if someone goes overboard, starts attacking people, for example, getting right up to their face, shoving them or something like that, then it should be dealt with. But this, it just reminds me of how some people, they find everything offensive. For example, you could compliment someone and they'll say like, hey, you're harassing me in that way. Like, that's what I would worry, where this gets too broad in that sense. It actually makes me think of a situation actually about 3 weeks or so where it looked like there was this lady driving a car and she was having issues or lost or something like that. So I suggested to my friend, we were actually in the car he was driving, hey, like give her some directions or some help possibly because she seems lost. And he's like, no way. Nowadays, if you do that, like you go up to a person, they're gonna say, what are you trying to say? That I can't do this because like I'm a woman, for example? How dare you? Like he's like, okay, he's like, forget it, I'm not even going to attempt it. So that makes me think like in this case, would you consider that, quote, harassment? Because it's so generic nowadays anyways. It seems like everyone finds everything offensive depending on your mindset and all that. So yeah, I don't know why this was necessary personally. What would you think? I guess no flying today, huh? I'll have to experiment for the archive. Alright, see you guys later.